Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and today's video is going to be an absolute disaster in the best possible way. Today's video features an open Great League team so preposterous that it should never win a single game. Tinkaton as the lead, Tinkatuff as the save switch, and as the closer, a level 50 Tinkatink, a Pokemon that at level 50 doesn't even get to 1000 combat power. Now this trainer manages to actually get wins with this team at a competitive elo, despite the fact that this team has no business winning any games at any elo bracket whatsoever. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and in game number 1, this team is off to a pretty tough start, leading Tinkaton into Empoleon. Now Empoleon is winning matchups into this entire team. Even though Tinkaton does have super effective Bulldoze, Bulldoze is such a weak move that without a debuff, it can't even two-shot. The only saving grace is that a lot of Empoleon teams have Altaria in the back, and obviously this team would really like to see Altaria. Unfortunately, Tinkaton not going to be winning that CMP tie against Empoleon. Empoleon able to grab an early shield as Tinkaton returns fire with Bulldoze number 2. This Bulldoze is going to be no-shielded by the Empoleon. The debuff comes through. Will this set up a farm down? No, it will not. And this Empoleon is just absolutely destroying Tinkaton. Tinkaton forced to burn both shields on the lead matchup and take a full farm down. In comes Altaria. Tinkaton, no baits here, going to go straight for the play rough, hoping to try and punish a no-shield. But the play rough does get shielded. Tinkaton banks a Bulldoze for later, safe switches into the Tinkatuff, because realistically, switch advantage does not matter against a team that all shares the exact same typing and coverage. So if this team ever sees a mudslapper, it's probably just going to get fully 1v3 swept. And honestly, I do hope if that happens that footage is included. Play rough will be shielded, all shields down. I guess the win condition would be something like a Malamar in the back. Flamethrower is going to be removing Tinkatuff from the field of play. Is it time to send in the Tinkatink? No. In comes Tinkaton in the back. Is Shadow Alolan Ninetales? Oh my goodness, there's actually a win con. I cannot believe it. Ninetales fires off the chilling water. That deals devastating damage to Tinkatink, but Tinkatink makes it to the flash cannon. This flash cannon is double super effective. Debuff not gonna matter as they get knocked out. Back in comes Altaria. Altaria able to outpace the Tinkatink and will be able to secure the knockout with the Sky Attack. They actually full send the Flamethrower, but regardless, the damage is done. Play rough is loaded on Tinkaton. Tinkaton KOs the Altaria, and that is a good game. We see a familiar friend in the next match, leading Tinkaton into Alolan Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales was a win con in game number 1, so very nice to see it here. Unfortunately, not nearly as nice to see Dunsparce, as Dunsparce's drill runs will shred through every single member of this team. In comes Tinkatink, even at 900 some combat power, still barely able to survive a drill run, but unfortunately Dunsparce is already at drill run number 2. That is going to force a shield from the Tinkatink. Tinkatink spamming out Play Rough, and let's see what kind of damage this Pokemon can do. Dunsparce did not want to find out. They put up the first shield, but they're not able to make it to a third drill run before the second Play Rough is available. Play Rough from the Tinkatink is going to connect. Wow, that really did not do much. Tinkatink maybe could have been farmed down there by the opponent, but the opponent did not want to risk it, and instead they fire off the drill run. There's a lot of energy available on Tinkaton, and Tinkaton is going to have to do the heavy lifting here. Play rough is going to be shielded up by the Dunsparce. Dunsparce trying to make it to the drill run, and unfortunately is able to outpace. This means all shields are down for the remainder of the match, and the opponent has so much energy stored on that Alolan Ninetales. That's a lot of chilling waters. Those chilling waters will definitely add up. So down goes the Dunsparce, back in comes the Ninetales. There's a switch and a catch onto the Tinkatuff. Tinkatuff going to be absorbing a Weather Ball. If the opponent's throwing Weather Ball, then maybe they're not on chilling water. In the back, oh no, it's the Team Breaker, it's Gastradon, and this is just going to be game over. Play rough lands onto the Gastradon, but Gastradon will be able to fire off the Water Pulse. Water Pulse will secure the knockout here onto the Tinkatuff. And that's just going to be all she wrote. But the Gastrodon goes for a body slam. It misses the knockout. The greed. They had way more than enough for a Water Pulse, but they end up going for the body slam, trying to save energy, and maybe there's a chance. Unfortunately, Tinkaton is going to be debuffed here by the chilling water, but the opponent does not have it. Instead, they're running Dazzling Gleam and Weather Ball. Dazzling Gleam for being resisted still does hit quite hard. Play rough lands, getting the Ninetales very low. Can Tinkaton make it to the Bulldoze? This is going to be very, very close. Dazzling Gleam comes out from the Ninetales. That's going to land. No Bulldoze is available. In comes Tinkatuff. It's a race to the finish. It's a simultaneous KO. And somehow, a team of 3 Steel types ties against the Mudslapper. We get a blast from the past matchup in the next match, leading Tinkaton into Malamar. Now, about 9 months ago, the spring of 2025 meta was dominated by Malamar and Tinkaton both. And honestly, to me, that was probably the best Great League meta we've ever had. It felt like a lot of matches were very, very flexible and there were a lot of win cons. I do feel like this current Great League meta is a bit more alignment dependent than I'd prefer. And here we have an opponent switching a Como-O into a loaded Tinkaton. What are they doing? Bulldoze is going to be shielded. There's a beautiful switch out and a catch onto the TINKATINK. TINKATINK, unfortunately, is basically just getting sacrificed here to back-to-back upper hands. But I guess that's basically the best use of the TINKATINK in this game, because if they're switching into Como-O, then they're probably just triple weak to Tinkaton. Tinkaton will hit the field, firing off Bulldoze, hoping Bulldoze is going to set up a fairy wind farm down. Bulldoze lands, there's the farm down, very nice, and back in comes Malamar. Malamar racing to a superpower and is able to get there. While this will not knock out, it is going to be putting Tinkaton very low. In the back, that is not at all what I was expecting to see. I was expecting to see another dragon, but it is going to be Tentacruel. Tentacruel taking super effective damage from Bulldoze, but Bulldoze is just not a very good move. Bulldoze number 2 is going to land. In comes Tinkatuff, and Tinkatuff has its work cut out for it, because Tentacruel is able to get to these Scalds very quickly, and Scald is going to come very close to two-shotting. Playrough is resisted. It would be massive if it could take the knockout. Playrough lands, Tentacruel gets KO'd, but the game's not over yet. Back in comes Malamar. It will get the outpace. Will a neutral superpower KO Tinkatuff? Superpower lands, Tinkatuff hangs on, 1 HP remaining, but it survives. Tinkatuff refusing to get KO'd, knocking out Malamar with the play rough, and that's a good game. We move to the next match, picking up a pretty okay lead for Tinkaton into Morpeko. Morpeko staying in is a pretty big surprise, because this is not a great matchup for Morpeko, as long as Tinkaton is able to correctly shield the electric war wheel. The shield comes up from Tinkaton, now going to be spamming out the Bulldoze. Bulldoze will not take the knockout, but does get the shield from Morpeko. What it does not get, however, is that 50-50 defense drop. Opponent decides to stay in. This is a +1 resisted Dark Ore Wheel, and that still inflicts some pretty massive damage onto Tinkaton. But importantly, Tinkaton can survive. The Tinkaton gets the fire off the Bulldoze, Morpeko gets debuffed and farmed down, and that's a pretty nice lead win for the Tinkaton. In comes Abomasnow, and that is a beautiful catch, able to save energy on the Tinkaton and catch the Weather Ball onto Tinkatuff. Tinkatuff going to be now answered with a Ludicolo. This is not an answer. Thank goodness the opponent did not have a good answer to Fairy Steel types, because if they did, this game would instantly be over. Playrough lands, that's big damage onto Ludicolo. Ludicolo's Weather Ball is not going to hit particularly hard here. So after Weather Ball lands, Tinkatuff is able to hang on, but unfortunately doesn't quite have the energy needed to make the play rough. Shield comes up from Tinkatuff. Tinkatuff would love to try and get shields down, because if the shields are down, then Tinkatink can flash cannon. That's exactly what happens. There's the pivot back into Tinkaton, sniping down with the play rough. This will set up a monster farm down for the Abomasnow. Can Abomasnow get this full farm down? Oh, they could have, but the opponent gets worried. They miscounted. They misremembered the residual energy. They fire off the Weather Ball, and that's going to seal their fate as in comes Tinkatink. The opponent has to be absolutely dreading what comes next. They have no Protect Shields left. Weather Ball does not two-shot, and Tinkatink makes it to the Flash Cannon. This is a charge stack priority tie. Weather Ball to the Flash Cannon. Weather Ball will not take the knockout, but Abomasnow is not surviving. Flash Cannon takes the one-hit knockout and secures the win. Hopping into the next match, Tinkaton into Doublade. Now, Doublade I affectionately refer to as the fraud Pokemon, because even though Doublade has one of the best typings you could ever ask for, it just really does not do what you want it to do in battle in the Great League. I do think in the Ultra League, where it does have more bulk than Doublade, can be interesting, but in the Great League, I've tried it quite a few times, I've watched people try it quite a few times, and it's just never impressed me in the slightest. Opponent decides to save that Doublade, save switch into Licky Licky, and Licky Licky will be answered with the Tinkatink. Well, answered with is a strong choice of words. The Tinkatink is basically being sacrificed to the Licky Licky, because unfortunately Tinkatink can't really do much damage. Tinkatink fires off Play Rough, and Play Rough does not even two-shot. Licky Licky, oh my goodness, what an overfarm from the opponent. Absolutely pristine energy management, and Shadow Ball will take the KO. In comes Tinkatuff, and now the reveal. This is the entire family. Tinkatuff will be putting up the shield, as Shadow Ball would do quite a lot of damage. Opponent pivots back into the Doublade, but Doublade will instantly be answered with Bulldoze. Bulldoze is going to be no-shielded by the Doublade. Debuff comes through. That sets up a farm down for Tinkaton. Tinkaton survives on 1 HP. In the back, opponent has low kicks. And low kicks, that's some spice from the opponent. You got to respect that. Tinkatuff goes for the play rough. Opponent lets it go. I guess they were trying to call a bait, but this Pokemon does not have a bait move. Whereas Tinkaton does have Bulldoze, Tinkatuff only has Play Rough and Flash Cannon. And that bait call may actually cost them the game, because Tinkatuff, it's not going to throw a charge move. It's full committing, trying to get a farm down. Shield comes up on the Shadow Ball. This is going to be close. Fairy Wind's not doing much. Licky Licky faints as it makes the Shadow Ball, and the opponent gets KO'd with both Protect Shields intact. We see a familiar lead in the next match. Tinkaton into Morpeko. Morpeko fires off the Aura Wheel as they always do right away on 5. Shield comes up as the opponent turns into the Hangry form. Now Bulldoze will not take a knockout, so Morpeko will have the ability to no shield this if they want to, but they do put up the shield, and unfortunately, no defense drop this time. Opponent only throws a Psychic Fangs. They did not build up enough energy for the Dark Aura Wheel. So that's an incredibly easy no shield for the Tinkaton. Opponent pivots out into Wigglytuff, and Wigglytuff did not see this coming. In comes Tinkatink, and Tinkatink wants to land a Flash Cannon. These charms are absolutely shredding the poor Tinkatink, because Tinkatink just does not have the HP to survive them. But Tinkatink is going to be going for the -1 Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon is going to land. Wigglytuff survives due to the debuff. Wigglytuff tries to farm down, and that's going to cost them, as Tinkatink does make the Play Rough. Play Rough knocks out Wigglytuff, and they get neutralized. Back in comes Morpeko, but I really like this aggressive play, switching back into the Tinkaton, firing off the Bulldoze. Again, no debuff. Morpeko is able to outpace, but Tinkaton is more than happy to put up the shield, because if the opponent is this weak to Fairy Steel, then Tinkaton will have value in the back. They send in Annihilate, trying for a catch, and this game is over. Annihilate's about to get sent to the Shadow Realm with a Play Rough. Play Rough lands, picking up the knockout. Back in comes Morpeko, and the opponent won't even get to see Tinkatuff. Somehow, in a team with Tinkaton, Tinkatuff, and Tinkatink, Tinkaton and Tinkatink are able to 2v3, and Tinkatuff just gets the battle off. Unfortunately, there's an auto loss on the lead in the next match, as Tinkaton leads into Gastradon. Gastradon just sweeps this entire team. There's not really anything you could do about it. Tinkaton will go for the Play Rough. Landing the Play Rough is big, and the opponent throws on atrocious timing as they undertap the Water Pulse. They're in a type advantage matchup. There is no need to throw on charge stack timing that poor. Tinkaton will now go for the Bulldoze. Bulldoze not going to be enough to secure the knockout here, but we do see a shield and a debuff. Gastradon does get the full farm down, exiting with quite a lot of energy. In comes Tinkatuff, and the opponent pivots out and sends in Togekiss. This is not an answer to Tinkatuff whatsoever, although to be fair, I imagine most people have no idea what this Pokemon is or what moves it has. Tinkatuff goes for the Flash Cannon, that connects, picking up the one-hit knockout, and back in comes the Gastradon. Gastradon will be firing off the Water Pulse. Shield comes up from the Tinkatuff. Tinkatuff would love to try and get the Fairy Wind down, and does, exiting with quite a lot of energy. In the back is Clefable. Can this game actually be a win? Clefable gonna be shielding up the Flash Cannon. Tinkatuff gonna stay in just to force Clefable to throw. Can Tinkatink survive to make it to its own Flash Cannon? The pacing on Clefable is absolutely ruthless. Clefable firing off a Meteor Mash already. Can Tinkatink hold on? I don't know if it can. Meteor Mash, that is going to pick up the 2-hit KO. Can Tinkatink outpace? It does outpace. It makes it to the Flash Cannon, and this should be a win. Flash Cannon lands onto Clefable, but no! Clefable survives the Flash Cannon. You've got to be kidding me. Meteor Mash takes the knockout, and unfortunately, the Gastrodon team will not be defeated. Hopping into the final match, Tinkaton into Jellicent, and this is a very neutral matchup. Jellicent fires on alignment there, very poor charge stack timing from the opponent. I guess they wanted to try and land a charge stack before the Play Rough landed, but Play Rough doesn't come close to threatening a knockout, so realistically there's no reason to throw in poor timing there. Tinkaton goes for the Bulldoze, gets a shield and a debuff, and now this Play Rough is going to hurt. Play Rough from the Tinkaton is going to land devastating damage onto the Jellicent, and Tinkaton is just going to fully let itself get KO'd here as Jellicent takes the knockout with Surf. In comes Tinkatuff. Tinkatuff going to be trading a shield in exchange for a massive energy head start. Hope is that this energy will be valuable into what they have in the back. The opponent stays in, they fully concede that farm down, and this Tinkatuff is absolutely loaded. I'm very surprised that they conceded the farm down. They send in a Tropius. What year is this? Why is there a Tropius here? Tropius, unfortunately, really does not do much in the Go Battle League right now. Tropius is completely walled, so if they're sending this in, then they are just hopelessly core broken. My guess is maybe they're doing auto-rect or something, because auto-rect, kind of letting the game pick your team for you, would be the only reason a Tropius would ever end up on a Great League team in the year 2026. In the back, oh my goodness, there's a Bastiodon, and I don't think this is auto-rect. Bastiodon will take neutral damage from the Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon will add up quite a bit. Tinkatuff makes it to the Flash Cannon. Oh my goodness. Tell me that Bastiodon CMP tied. Flash Cannon lands. They did CMP tie. Bastiodon players will never fail to throw on alignment, and I believe that's going to cost them this game. In comes Tinkatink, and this might be the greatest thing I've ever seen. Opponent tries for a catch onto the Tropius. They're not going to get it, and a Bastiodon is about to get KO'd by a 900 combat power Tinkatink. Back in comes the Bastiodon into the loaded Flash Cannon from Tinkatink. Bastiodon still has one Protect Shield to use. They're not going to use it. Bastiodon survives on 1 HP to make the last second Flamethrower, but it's all over. Bastiodon, bow down to your god. Tinkatink takes the knockout, and that is a good game. All in all, these battles were incredibly fun, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now, the submitter mentioned, obviously with a team like this, they would have to go through many losses in order to get a couple wins. So I definitely appreciate the elo sacrifice because I know they started recording around 3,000 elo. So I imagine they ended up dropping quite considerably along the way just to get those wins. But man, some of these middle evolutions have very poor movesets. I know Tinkaton obviously has Bulldoze, which is really nice because that gives it a bait move, but being stuck with Fairy Wind, Play Rough, and Flash Cannon really does limit Tinkatuff when it comes to any kind of meaningful Great League viability. Tinkatink, well, it's 900 combat power. Unfortunately, you could give it the best moveset in the world and it still wouldn't have Great League viability, but that's what made these battles so fun. It's just the pure absurdity of the trainers desperately getting through the Tinkaton and the Tinkatuff just for a Tinkatink to show up and actually take several meaningful KOs along the way. I think these battles really exemplify one of the things that I love about the Go Battle League the most. Is that as you put in the time, work to hone your skills, improve, and get better, sometimes you can end up getting away with running some truly absurd nonsense and still pulling off some pretty incredible wins. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching today's video, please do leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you have not. And an extra special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide to the channel is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.